who the investors are that you're going to be raising money from maybe one day, and what motivates them. Because in order to have a good meeting, you need to know what you're doing and how to achieve that goal. So when we think about investor meetings, there's a question of when you need them, who you need them with, how to actually get the meetings, and actually how to do the meetings. This might seem weird, but a meeting isn't just walking into a room and sitting across the table from someone staring into each other's eyes. You need to actually talk. You need to make points, and you need to know what points to make. This talk is kind of your magical plan to automatically raise money. If you follow these tips, no one will ever say no to you. If they do, it's your fault. All right, so the first thing is figuring out when you actually need to raise money, right? Not every business needs money. MailChimp, famously, has never raised $1 in outside financing and is worth billions of dollars. So before you think about whether or not or before you think about meeting with investors to raise money, you first need to answer the question of if you actually need to raise money. And there's a bunch of different steps in this, but you need money when you actually need it to grow your business. And figuring out whether or not you need money to grow your business is a very particular decision about your company. So if you think about this, think about raising money as a continuum, right? If you have nothing and no understanding of how you would spend money if you had it, don't try to raise money. It's a waste of time. Instead, focus on building your product and building your company. If you get a little further along, you have your idea or your prototype, you start to see, oh, if I actually had a little more money, I'd be able to do X, Y, and Z, which would make me go faster. Now flip yourself into the mind of the investor and think about, okay, well, if I'm an investor, why am I giving this person money? I have to have a reason, right? And the reason is because I expect it to be very, very, very large one day. And I also expect them to be able to use this money appropriately. Know what you need for your stage of capital. They all have, or almost all have, multiple LPs, which are limited partners, who give them money and say, hey, we need you to produce X% return on an annual basis. It's called an IRR target. And these people, these LPs, are looking across all the venture funds in the world and saying, where can I allocate money? And then they're looking at all of the different alternative asset managers and saying, where can I allocate money? And then they're looking across all of investable assets and saying, where can I allocate money? And so if I'm a VC partner, if I'm a GP, I have to think, not only do I have to be one of the better VCs, I have to return more at a better risk than anything else this investor could put money into for me to get that LP capital. So when they're looking at you, they don't just need you to return 5 or 10x. They're looking at every single investment and saying, will this investment return my entire fund? So as you're thinking about how to meet with these people, right, you got to think about, oh, shoot, when I walk into that meeting, I can't just pitch a small vision of what I'm doing. I got to do something big here. The intro meeting is really simple. All you really need is a clear explanation of your idea. That's actually the base level of everything. A super clear. This is the elevator pitch, right? The reason this is important is because research shows that people make decisions about what they want to do in an interview, sometimes in the first 30 seconds of a meeting, right? You can't necessarily get to yes in 30 seconds, but you can often get to no. And if someone comes in and cannot explain what they do, that's a really bad sign. So make sure you really understand what it is that you want to say and how you want to explain it. If you have a demo of what you've built, that's awesome. Investors love to engage with real products and see. And not only do they want to see that because they love playing with things, this is evidence that you are doing the things that you were saying you're going to do. The entire purpose of meeting with investors is to show them that you are inevitably going to be gigantic. And progress is critical to that. I would also recommend having a reasonably clean shirt. Doesn't have to be spotless. I understand what it's like to be a founder. But don't show up looking like you just rolled out of bed all rumpled. You can get away with that sometimes. But again, people unfortunately judge based on first impressions. And if you walk into the room looking like you don't give a crap about the meeting, the investor isn't going to give a crap about the meeting. If you get past the intro, you're going to get to a follow-up meeting. Again, except for the angels that invest off the first meeting. Follow-ups start to dig a little more deeply into your business. So you need to understand your metrics. Now, in some cases, this will be the metrics that your business already has. And in other cases, it'll be the metrics that your company will have in the future. So you need to have your deck. And the deck doesn't have to be long. Actually, the simpler the deck, the better. This deck is really, really long that I'm running through today. If you're a seed company, 8 slides, maybe 10, your opportunity, your team, what you're going to build or what you've already built, and your early metrics. That's it. I actually put up a sample slide deck on the YC blog. Go check it out. It's really short. You can actually just use that deck and replace your name with the deck company, I think is what it's called. And your ability to dig into that and explain it is the difference between whether or not you're just another company or something with huge vision that they think you can achieve. After that comes the diligence meetings. These meetings aren't usually that hard on you if you've done your homework ahead of time. And again, this is later. The earlier in your life as a company, the less diligence you have. Make sure you have your legal docs in order. Make sure your financials, if you have them, make sense. We've seen some really insane things come up during diligence where a company has, 50% less cash than they thought they did. Don't do that. It's usually some other problems at work if that happens. And have a metrics dashboard. Again, if you have the metrics, be able to bring up your full dashboard so that people can really dig way down into everything that you're doing. So if you walk through all of those things, if you understand the framework for your meetings, you'll get to the final step, which is that fancy dinner. There is food, and you'll need another reasonably clean shirt. But this is the end and doesn't even necessarily happen. And honestly, even if it doesn't, the thing that you were trying to get to is actually money in the bank. Whether or not an investor takes you out for a meal, or an investor seems fancy, or other people think the investor is cool, none of that matters, right? At the end of the day, the thing that you need as a company, if you need money to grow, is just money. And honestly, all of these meetings are irrelevant if you can get that money without them. So never put yourself in a position where an investor that you have researched is great. You know they're great. They email you and say, hey, I'm traveling this month, but I really want to invest. Can I send you $250,000 and we'll catch up afterwards? Don't say no because you haven't met for coffee, right? I'd recommend getting on the phone with them and chatting with them and trying to do your own diligence, right? Check references, but don't turn people down just because they haven't fit into whatever we believe or you believe is the perfect process. A few things to remember about meetings, about investors. Most importantly, meetings do not equal progress. I run into so many founders who tell me all about all of the different meetings that they're having and how they met with this person and that famous person. It's irrelevant. The only thing that matters is building a big company. And if you are meeting with investors when you don't need to raise money, you are taking your time and focus away from the thing that matters, which is building the big company. So only start meeting with investors when you know that you need money. When you are in a fundraising process, the only thing that counts as a yes, I will invest is yes, I will invest, signed documents, and wired money. Investors hate saying no because every time they say no, they close off the opportunity to invest in something that's going to make them a lot of money, and they risk looking stupid for having said no. So they will do everything they can not to. What I've actually found is the best investors are the ones who will say no fastest. Not say yes fastest, who will say no fastest. Because they're the ones who understand what it is they're looking for and how to make decisions quickly.
Why 9 out of 10 startups keep failing after wasting time, efforts, and money? It is always the same story. entrepreneurs fall in love with their ideas, get feedback from their friends, make the same mistakes as other founders did before them, and end up failing. We came to understand that the most precious feedbacks come from wise entrepreneurs, people that have done the startup journey before you, whether they failed or succeeded. Wizpreneur is an online platform where people with ideas get honest feedback from wise entrepreneurs before investing too much time, effort, and money. Every day, many people pitch their ideas only in 140 characters on Wizpreneur.com and get valuable, honest feedback that helps them save time, money, and effort. The best pitch of the month, voted by the community, gets a prize worth $10,000 for his startup. Have you succeeded or failed with a startup before? You can also make money with your wisdom on Wizpreneur.com. Contact us at info@Wizpreneur.com. Together, we can all improve the success rate of startups if we share our wisdom with new entrepreneurs on Wizpreneur.com. Join the community today at Wizpreneur.com. Wizpreneur.com. Honest feedback from wise entrepreneurs.